Today I'm going to change the window regulator on our old VX Commodore. I'll be doing the passenger side one. Not a big job, probably about an hour or so, and I'll show you how it's done. Things to take note: it's got a square plug, 2 pins in the end. These holes here, which hold the regulator on, aren't threaded, so I'm going to have to thread them. I could put bolts through them and hold them, but I prefer to thread them and then put screws in. Much easier way of doing it. The clips on the end here, they'll fit in the rails without a problem. On some of the aftermarket ones, the ball that holds those clips can be a different size to the originals, so if you can, try to find one that has the 3 clips already attached, and it's cheaper. A little bit of a hint here: if ever you do change these clips, the best way to fit them on is to position the clip, get a pair of slip joint pliers like these, sit them over, and then you just squeeze and they click into place. Okay, so let's get started. So first thing we've got to do is take the door trim off it. So we need to, this particular thing, you got to push a screwdriver in, pop that outwards, and then that comes up. They can be pretty hard to undo, and you'll often damage them in the process. Put a flat bladed screwdriver in there, it just pops out and releases the clip. It looks like that. That comes off, and we have to undo the screw that's behind there. When you're undoing the screw, make sure you don't drop it down into no man's land, otherwise you'll have to then try and find it when you take the door trim off. So be careful removing that. This then just lifts up and out. Next we'll go for the door handle. There's a plug here. You can use a hook or a pick or something, and you have to pluck this little cover off, and behind it is a screw. If you look at this plug I just pulled out, even though I've left a scratch on it, take note of how it is. See how there's a thick part at the top and a thin part at the bottom? That's the correct orientation for it to go back in. The thickest part goes at the top and it pushes straight in then. Now I've got to take out the screw that's in there, and then I'm able to pull the handle out. Right, so the screw's out, so here's the handle. Now have a look at this. When it comes out, there's a metal rod that this arm attaches to. So we have to unhook that rod, and it comes that way. See the hook in it? And it hooks onto a rod that's in there. It's a bit of a bugger to get hooked back up. Oh, there's the rod. You can just see it. It's a bit of a bugger to hook it back up, but you just got to remember that it hooks in from that direction. Okay, so now we've got the handle out. There's a screw there. That screw has to be undone. That holds the door trim in place. Then once we've done that, all the way around the edges of the door are screws around the bottom sides. There's one there and there. Just don't mistake them for the ones that hold the trim together. Look for the ones that actually hold the trim on. Undo all of those, and then the trim should be almost ready to come off. Undoing the trim around the door. That one there is the one you undo. That one there assembles the trim. If you go to unscrew it, it just won't unscrew. It's just really a trim plug. But there's, and here comes the last part. This part here, I've been partially successful in removing it before, but quite often when I take it off I break it. They come off by going towards the rear of the door and they slide that way, but even in this case, because of the age of the car, it's just broken the clip. See how there's like a slot on this side? So if it was able to be driven down this way, you might be able to get it off. Maybe if you pushed a screwdriver, a really small screwdriver in that gap, you might be able to get right onto the lug and push it off. What I do is once I've go to assemble it, I'll just get some hot glue gun, put some hot glue in there, put some hot glue in a couple of places on this, and just push it back into place, and it should now make a point where we remove the door trim. It comes out at the bottom, we pull it outwards, then we have to push it upwards, and that should then remove it. Can be a little bit tight along the top, sometimes you have to bump it a little bit from underneath, but it all should come clear. Remember, that has to come off, otherwise you won't be able to do it. And don't forget the screw in there, otherwise it won't come off. And if you've left any screws behind, of course it won't pull outwards at the bottom to be removable. So here we go, the moment of truth. I've had it all out. That's the clip I was telling you about. That hooks into there. When you go to assemble it, you must make sure that connects. So now, time to get deeper into it. Just a few things to show you. There's the hook that the door handle hooks into, and as you pull the lever, that pulls that rod that direction to open. See that dropped out? That holds that rod. I've got to put it back in place. I have to take all of this plastic off to be able to get into where the window regulator is. It's just held on by a glue. Peel it off fairly carefully and then you're able to put the plastic back on. Remember, they wouldn't put plastic on there unless they needed it, so do put it back on. As you can see, I'm managing to peel that off. May not have to remove it completely. I do have to remove that clip, and I did notice it when I was pulling that down. It's part of my problem. That's one of those white clips for the regulator. It's broken. So it explains part of what's going on inside it. Finally, here we are. We've peeled the plastic back. I've peeled it back as far as that. Shouldn't have to go any further than that. And the regulator. There's 4 big pop rivets. Now the best way to get them out is to not drill with a small drill, but to actually use a big drill, and all you do is you drill the heads off. Once you drill the heads off, all the motor control mechanism and the window will fall down. Be really careful at this point when you drop that window that it doesn't just fall uncontrollably. Some people will put a block of wood inside, other people just get a second person to catch the window as it falls, other people get someone to hold the window so that it doesn't fall. But once you do this, and the regulator will be on its way out. There's a plug here, and you squeeze to just pinch it towards the front and back of the door, as in the outside skin and the inside skin, and then pull it down. See, that was a little tab I just squeezed right there. That's pulled straight down. So that's the window mechanism disconnected. I may have to reconnect it because I'll probably have to pull the window down to get it small enough to be able to go through the gap that's here. So I may have to reconnect it, turn the ignition on, and close the scissor action of the mechanism. So that's the first pop rivet drilled off. See how it hasn't drilled a hole through there? So I'll do the second one. And off it comes. 2 more to do, and that'll drop the mechanism at this point here. A small screwdriver, put it in there, and a quick rap with a hammer, and that'll drop them out. Right, that's dropped down. In this case, it all came off the rails, so that made it a bit easier. So all the clips are obviously broken. So to get this out, I have to lift it up. There we go. And see, clips missing. Clips are missing all over the place. So it was broken.